Welcome to the pit lane at Silverstone. This is the Ducati track day, and today I'm on something pretty bloody cool, and that is the rarer than rare Multistrada Pikes Peak. And I've just been out for one session and it's quite a handful, but anyway, I've stiffened it all up and I'm going to give it a bloody good seeing to. But yeah, it's pretty cool here. Ducatista, or Ducatisti. And there's other famous people here and everything, and other crap people. Right, so let's do a little a walkie-talkie of the bikey borky. So this is the Multistrada V4 Pikes Peak. It's essentially a Multistrada S, but on steroids. It's the raciest of the bunch. You may have seen the video I did with the Multistrada V4 Rally, which we'll put in the description or up here somewhere, which you should definitely watch because that bike is incredible. This is the first time I've ridden the Pikes Peak, at the V4 Pikes Peak, and it is an absolute animal. We've got all sorts of delicious carbonness. We've got the Ducati. The bikes are started. Hang on, I'll turn around. I'll go to the back first. So we've got the Kropovic exhaust system, 17-inch wheels, so these are exactly the same wheels as you get on a Panigale V4. We've got a 17-inch front wheel, which more importantly means you could actually get some slicks on this if you were so inclined. Hang on, let me just wait for these to go. Right, so they've all gone now, apart from that guy. You're late. Kropovic exhaust, 17-inch wheels. These are the exact same wheels as you get on a Panigale V4S over there, which means the tyre market has opened up to you, so you can get some really racy rubber on this. We haven't got that much of a racy rubber today, and it's kind of showing. So what are we on here? We've got Diablo Rosso 4s. I mean, and they're great for a road tyre, it's fine, it's absolutely fine, but when you're dicing it with V4s and you've got a lot of weight and a lot of weight transfer, it's a little bit scary. So I'm going to see if we can try and find, even if they're supercoursers rather than a slick, let's just try and stick some of those on and see what happens. Anyway, yeah, so the raciest of the bunch, obviously we've got full Öhlins electronic suspension, all the usual blind spot protection, blah blah blah, blind spot detection obviously, carbon, huggers. Essentially it's a V4 Multistrada with all the racy bits put on it. It's a superbike in a touring shell. It does still have the same Multistrada V4 engine, the sprung valve one. It's not desmodromic, which it would be quite nice to see actually a full-on Panigale motor in this, because it would make it even more of a mental project. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. Yeah, right. Number one. First session out, and I haven't played with any of the settings. This is just as it comes from the factory, so brakes, engine mode, suspension, it's all as it is. I wanted to do that just to understand how the bike behaves a little bit while I get used to the circuit, and this is a fast circuit. This is a full-on GP track, and when you're up against Panigales on the straights, you know, I don't care how fast your adventure bike is, you're on an adventure bike. But the instant highlight was how good the brakes are on this thing. That was the first thing I noticed, was the bite and the power of these brakes is insane. But yeah, as you can probably see from the bike moving around, it does get a little bit wobbly with standard suspension settings, so that's something to change. And also I want to look at the tyres as well and see what we can do. So yeah, anyway, back to the pits for some fiddling. I was pretty scared in that first session because it was wild. Don't get me wrong, for an adventure bike, the performance is incredible, but when you start sort of tangling with a couple of fairly quick guys on Panigales, you want to push it more and you want to push it more. But I've got to step back from that and realise that it's a sodding great adventure bike and it's not a thoroughbred Superbike championship leading Superbike. I've got to cut it a little bit of slack and try and detach myself from trying to set an incredible lap time. But either way, I mean, it's a bloody fast thing and it's super fun to ride. It is an animal, an absolute animal, but that's why we like it, right? Okay, let's go. My arm's hurting. So I fiddled with some buttons and knobs and twizzles and yeah, stiffened it right up and went out, and actually it made quite a bit of difference. The squat, which is what I'm struggling with most, was reduced, and the support on corner entry was increased. So that is just all comes from stiffening up the bike. I mean, this is a heavy bike. I think it's 230-ish kilos. I'll double check that. So the weight transfer is intense, but now it just seems a little more in control, which is all good. Right, another session done. The suspension changes actually made a pretty decent amount of difference. So we put it on pillion, luggage, like as hard as we possibly could. But I managed to convince these guys to see if they can find me a set of supercoursers. We're on stilts at the moment, and time's a ticking. But yeah, that was a good session. I really enjoyed it. It's pretty cool muscling a, I don't know what it is, 230 kilo monster around here. So yeah. Anyway, catch you in a bit. We're on. Our rubber is on. So we've got some Supercourser. I think these are SPs. So this is the road format. But I think it's going to help. Mainly because, or this is the bit that I think is going to have the biggest difference, is because the rear profile is taller, it's actually going to put more weight on the front. And it's hopefully going to stop it a little bit squatting as much. And once it starts squatting, because of the weight of the bike, it sort of gets a bit of an oscillation on it. But I think that's going to help. Or it could go the other way, and the higher grip level could make it oscillate further. So, but the only way of finding out these things is to go and try it, isn't it? So let's go and give it a go. Yo. But either way, it's brilliant fun. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. Okay, so the new tyres are on, and massive difference. I'm kind of hamming it up a little bit for the camera here, so you can still make the bike move if you want it to move, but it's way more stable. I mean, you do have to be quite sensitive with the throttle, but once you get used to it, this is an amazing experience. Absolutely giving this bike some serious hoofage round, and I can't say this enough. Silverstone is not really the place to test an adventure bike on track. If it's going to highlight any issues, it's going to be around here, because it's constant, it's on the throttle, on the gas, coming out of these corners, and any sort of soft bike is going to wallow and it is going to squirm and move around. Yeah, it's doing an amazing job to be mixing it up here with these proper superbikes. So well done bike. And again, the brakes on this thing, I never once thought I was going to outbrake myself into a corner. I could have gone so much deeper, but I just didn't dare. The ground clearance was actually not too bad. I think for I wouldn't want to be leaning much further over on this bike with road tyres on, so I didn't have a problem with that. Mid-corner speed was fine. It was just top-end speed, which was probably lacking compared to the superbikes, but all the middle Nadgery stuff and the left-right, and there's I think it's, what's it called? Village. Yeah, into Village, it was really good. Change of direction. It does hide its weight pretty well on those slower corners, the fast chicanes and stuff. But yeah, it was yeah, it was absolutely eating some of these guys for breakfast, which was nice to see, and it made me feel good because I like being annoying, a bit like a wasp at a picnic. Wow, what a difference that makes. Honestly, with those tyres on it, I don't know whether it's the grip level or if it's the profile or a bit of both. Corner entry is way better. The stability on the throttle now, it's not squatting. There's still a bit of wobble and shake, but it's not squatting anywhere near as much as it was. So to clarify, if anyone's got one of these, I put all the suspension on hardest. We're 2-up pillion luggage setting. And we've got a Supercorsa SP tyre on it. I think it's a 60 profile. Let me just double check. Yeah, it's a 60 profile. So the whole bike is tilted forward a little bit, and it's just anything you can do to get that weight off that rear is going to help it massively. So yeah, massive win there. Fantastic. Honestly, that was an amazing session. So now it's playtime. Cool. Yeah. So in summary then, can you be fast enough on an adventure bike on track? Yes is the short answer if it's a Multistrada V4 Pikes Peak. There are obviously performance limits to any bike, even superbikes, and these less conventional bikes just find those limits earlier, which actually is no bad thing. Namely, you can ride in first class comfort to and from the track and not worry about dragging along a whole racetrack worth of stuff and things to faff with and pitbox paraphernalia. This is a big bonus, so you can just rock up and ride. It's actually arguably a far more enjoyable way of doing track days, so there's less pressure, there's more comfort, and if you do scalp a few superbikes, then it feels incredible. And if you don't, then you've got the ultimate excuse of you're on an adventure bike, so there's nothing to lose really. So about the bike, I guess the standout really still was the brakes. They are phenomenal, like incredible brakes, incredible stopping power. The electronics are superbike worthy, and the overall refinement is absolutely first class, as you'd expect from Ducati. The suspension is just about capable of hot laps around a GP circuit, but if it were my bike, I'd probably be looking at trying to get a stiffer spring in the back to cope with my 100-kilo manhood. Or even dropping the front forks a little to give it a bit more of an edge without compromising it too much on the road. Failing that, I'd probably just go to tighter tracks. I mean, Silverstone is a biggie. The Pikes Peak is the raciest adventure bike to date, and if you're looking to embarrass a few of your mates on a track day, then this is probably the bike that's most likely to achieve that goal. And don't forget, at the end of the day, you can still load up your missus on the back and cruise down to Monte Carlo for a celebratory curry and chips. Thanks, bye. Well, that's it. End of day. And it's been a very exciting, fun, interesting, well-organised day. And that bike there, now it's sorted, is a proper weapon. Like, it's been right at the top of Fast Group all day long, and it's brilliant because it's so embarrassing getting overtaken by a Multistrada, and I can hear the people's screams in their helmet, like what? And that's why I love it, because it's not really supposed to do that. I mean, it kind of is, but it's still ultimately an adventure bike, and what it can do on track is amazing. Like, without a shadow of a doubt, that is the fastest sport touring adventure bike, whatever you want to call it, you can buy. It is very, very good. But it did take a little bit of time to get there with the setup. So, yeah. But if you've got one, and if you're one of the lucky people that's got one and don't have to sit in a waiting list to buy it, then you've got time to fiddle with it, haven't you? So, yeah. That's it from me, from Silverstone, from Ducati Race Track Day, just Ducati Track Day. In fact, look, let's get a bit of branding in. From Ducati Track Day at Silverstone. Ciao bella, mozzarella.